and we are sponsored by BHS, South Bay Prevention, and in partnership with MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, LA County Friday Night Live Partnership, ADAP, and South Bay Communities Creating Change. So Growing Prevention is an online workshop series via Zoom dedicated to, of course, got in my way, dedicated to developing substance abuse professionals, community members, law enforcement agencies, and parents on topics in a way to enhance their communities, homes, and that we're doing this through education, connection, and resources. So that being said, I'd like to welcome and thank both of our presenters here today. We have Jeannie Shimatsu and Rith Thatch. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And Jeannie is a prevention coordinator. Rith is a community organizer, both from ADAP. So a little bit about Rith. She began her career as a community organizer at Asian American Drug Abuse Program in 2016. And for the last 3 years, her main focus at work is to help educate Asian and Pacific Islanders within the South Bay, Greater Los Angeles through increased awareness, advocacy, lower underage drinking rates, and drug use. The mission of ADAP since 1972 is to change lives and save families by providing comprehensive substance abuse and other social services. Rith grew up in Long Beach, shout out to Long Beach, and as a Cambodian immigrant, finished high school locally in Lakewood High School, earned her Bachelor's of Arts degree in Human Development at Cal State University of Long Beach. Having a great relationship and knowledge within the community she serves allows her to gain a better understanding and connection with people she helps to serve. Rith is also fluent in English and Khmer, the Cambodian language, which gives her a wide range of reach from the youth to the elderly population. Aside from ADAP, other providers who may lack personnel have used her as an interpreter in the past. So thank you, Rith, for being here. And a little bit about Jeannie. Jeannie Shimatsu is the prevention coordinator for ADAP, a nonprofit organization that provides comprehensive prevention through treatment services in LA County. She leads programs funded by the Los Angeles Department of Public Health, Substance Abuse Prevention and Control, and Tobacco Control and Prevention Program. She has over 30 years of experience in the field of substance abuse prevention in the areas of community assessment, coalition building, and policy advocacy campaign coordination. Jeannie leads a team of 6 community organizers who target South Bay region of LA County. Since 2000, she and her team continue to provide critical alcohol, tobacco, and other drug information and education, engagement, and collaboration with youth and adult-led community advocates, all of which have led to the successful passing of over 15 community-supported alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana-related prevention ordinance campaigns. Jeannie is a preventionist at heart and believes that change begins with every step forward in a positive action. Well accomplished, ladies. Thank you. We're so appreciative of having you here. So with that being said, I'll bring up your presentation and let you take it away.
So good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you're keeping cool because this weather is insane. But thank you so much for joining our workshop today on home safety and alcohol, marijuana, and prescription drugs. So I'm Jeannie, and as you can see, my co-presenter is Rith right over there. So we'll go ahead and begin. So MSL originated as Measure, Store, and Lock. And as the presentation evolved to include prescription drugs and marijuana, it was renamed to Monitor, Store, and Lock. So a little brief history behind this. MSL campaign is one of the foundational trainings from ADAP IYCC, going back to 2013. And there was a special reach to the Cambodian community as their home country has no legal age for drinking. So part of the intent was to ease the transition from their home country to the rules and regulations in the United States. The other intent was to begin building a relationship and understanding around drug abuse prevention in a way that was relatable and non-threatening. And this presentation has evolved to spread to other communities in the South Bay as well. Rith?
Hey everyone, hi, good afternoon, and happy Friday once again. So I'm going to get into it. So the purpose of Measure, Monitor, Store, and Lock campaign aims to decrease child and youth access and use of alcohol, prescription drugs, and marijuana in the home. Measure, Monitor, Store, and Lock will be broken down to 3 easy steps to remember. We will provide recommendation and tools for families to prevent underage access and use in the home. Next slide. Also, alcohol, marijuana, and prescription drugs are legal for those who are over 21, with the exception of prescription drugs. Today's objectives are to reflect on what alcohol and other drugs access look like at home environment, review safety tips for children and youth at home, steps to alcohol and drug-proof your home through Measure, Monitor, Store, and Lock, quick reviews of other strategies to use with your children and teens. Next slide. How does easy access impact children and youth in the home? Let's begin with talking about alcohol. So here are some data that we collected from South Bay. 65% of youth reported that they get alcohol at parties. 32% of youth get alcohol from adults at a friend's house. 45% of youth reported it is easy to get access to alcohol. 43% of youth reported getting alcohol from their home.
Okay, so we're going to have a quick little poll now. Our first poll is on alcohol. And the question that you'll answer is, where in your home or your family's home do you see alcohol located? So go ahead and click all of the ones that apply the most. Which ones are the most common places that you see alcohol in your home or someone else's home? Okay. All right, keep on going. Okay, we'll give you a few more seconds to complete the survey.
Ladies, do you see a message popping up blocking the screen? Or is that just on my end? I don't know.
I don't know what that is, but I see it too. But
okay, you do. I'm gonna try to get this together so we don't block your things. Okay.
So if you're done with the survey, just hold on and we'll have the results for you in just a second.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
Okay, wow, whopping 49% is the refrigerator, because generally people like their beverages cold. And with a refrigerator, that's where access point happens the most. The second at 22% is in the dining room, in cabinets and stands. That's very interesting. Go ahead, Rith, you want to move to the next slide?
Move to the next slide. Okay, let's take a look and see how, Melissa? Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so let's take a look and see how your answers are compared to these photos. The common places, so everyone said the alcohol in the refrigerator. So let's say the most common places that alcohol is kept at home is inside the refrigerator, on the kitchen countertop, drawers and storage, and wall shelves. Most access alcohol by youth will be beer. Next slide. Now, these are some other examples of other forms of alcohol which are not designed for consumption. They are rubbing alcohol, mouthwash, and cosmetics. Many of the mint flavored mouthwashes can have 14% as much as 22% of alcohol. On the other hand, cosmetic product, it includes label that says alcohol free, but it may contain other alcohol that you might not have noticed on the ingredients. Next. Now let's take a look at how we can measure alcohol at home. Measuring alcohol is specifically used for open bottles such as wine and liquor. We have two recommendations. Measure the remaining alcohol in the bottle by using a ruler and a permanent marker. Draw a line on the side of the bottle. If you have a dark bottle, you can use a silver or a whiteout pen that can mark the remaining of the alcohol with the line. Next. Also, monitor your alcohol. When monitoring your alcohol, it is important to keep track of the total amount of alcohol in your home, especially if you have boxes and collection of beer, wine, liquor, and other alcoholic beverages. It is helpful to have a tracking document to give you a bigger picture of your home inventory. Another important way to keep track of your open bottle is to make sure you sniff it and taste it, just in case it can be tampered by teens or youth who might want to fill up the water or other liquids to hide the fact that they have already consumed it already. So make sure you be aware of that. Does that happen? Next slide, please.
Okay, so this is where we want a little bit of interaction and feedback from you. So take a moment to review this photo of a family backyard party. What do you notice? And I'm gonna ask you to use the thumbs up reaction if you wanna share back what you noticed from this photo. What's going on here? Sorry, Melissa, I threw you one. If you could, Melissa and Minor, if you could pull up one of the thumbs up. Let me see what we have here. Let's see, do we have any thumbs up going on here?
So Edwina says in the chat, easy access for youth.
Yes.
Bart has his thumb up.
Yes, Bart.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the pool areas with one with the, I mean, I'm on my phone, so I'm trying to look if there's beer with sodas.
Hey, yeah, what? Yes, yes. What else do you guys notice? Thank you, Bart.
Great,
You know.
yeah.
Anyone have a comment? Anyone else have a comment? I think Tom had a comment. So Tom says, not just easy access, oops, here we go, but both beverages are put in a kiddie pool that might be confusing to kids. Let's see, Ariana said close access and open access for kids. Yes, confusing because both look kid-friendly from Vanessa. And Tiffany raised a point. What if kids can't read the sign?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Good point. And Nicole, I see a big ice bucket full of soft drinks and alcohol versus a kid ice bucket. Okay, so thank you for your feedback. All excellent points. So this is a typical backyard pool and, kiddie pools, and notice how close in proximity they are. You could easily mistaken it, and there's no distancing. And at least in this picture, there's also no adults. So let's go ahead to the next slide. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback, everyone. So in this slide, we're going to talk about during and after gatherings. So about 35% of young adults said that the reason for alcohol misuse by youth and young adults in our community is because parents, guardians allow them to use at home and family events. So I want you guys to take a look at this picture here on the slide. What do you notice in the after party photo shoots? Well, not photo shoot, but photos. So if you take a look at it, you'll see unfinished, half-filled glasses that is left on top of the countertop. So this way, it's make it easy for children and youth to take a sneak of the sip of the alcohol. So make sure we clear that out. Next slide, please.
Oh, and I'm going to add a comment from Arliss. Arliss said, need to have someone supervise the drinks and redirect the kids.
Great points. Yes, that would be, you already know our PowerPoint presentation, Arliss. Thank you. Next is monitor your gathering. So with that being said, you know, we show you, we want you to always monitor the alcoholic beverages at any gathering that is provided with alcohol. Here is, if you notice that there's a red bucket filled with red balloons, that there is no clear sign indicating that there's alcoholic beverages in it. So we want to make sure that you stated that it's adult only on the ice, on the table, on the ice cooler, on the bucket. Also, another tip is try not to decorate the alcoholic drink because it might be attractive and confusing to the children. And also, have a station that is clear view for the adult responsibility, and ask for a few volunteers to help monitor. Oftentimes, after a gathering, children and teens are most likely to be able to sneak alcohol by drinking the unfinished drinks and the glasses of cup that is left around the house or in the yard. It is important to make sure you empty it out. And also, yeah, and also it is important that when you're drinking also at home that you keep in mind that younger children, they will not know that this is a beer. They'll think it's an apple juice or like cranberry drink. So yeah, it's definitely a sign for you to make sure you clean up after yourself if you're decided to drink. Next slide. Okay, when storing your alcohol, ideally, young children in your home, placing alcohol in a high place can work, but as you get older, accessing alcohol from the top bridge or the top shelf will deter the teen who wanted to try the alcohol. So the safest method is to place a lock on the drawers or the cupboard that have alcohol in it. With refrigerated items such as beer, wine cooler, and hard drink, is the best way to keep track of it is to make sure count the beer bottles. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, thank you. Locked up your alcohol. Depending on the age of the children and the youth, different locks serve different ways, different serving for the age. So as a part of childproof your home, many of these locks will serve multiple purposes, such as magnetic and clip lock. For teen, it's advisable that you use a special additional lock for the cabinet and the drawers. Now, any of these locks that you see here on the slide can be purchased on Amazon, Target, or Walmart. The prices ranges anywhere from $6 and up. So you can see that the top lock is normally used for teen and the bottom are normally used for the young one, the little ones. Next slide. And we have a poll. It's polling time.
Okay. So we have another interactive slide, and it's poll number 2. So from what you know of or observed of adult family and friends, how do you see, how is marijuana most commonly used in their homes? From what you've seen. Okay, we're gonna give you about 10 more seconds. Okay, let's go ahead and close the poll now. Let's see what we have. Wow, at a whopping 71%, we have smoking, joints, blunts, pipes, other rigs. And then you have vaping, which is vape pens and the rigs. And you have edibles and alternative products. So let's go ahead and move to the next slide. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your feedback. So we'll go to the next slide. All right, this slide. So how does easy access impact, this is covering the children and youth in the home. So since the passing of Prop 64 in 2016, there has been many unintended consequences. And one of these consequences of marijuana legalization has been the unintentional ingestion of marijuana products by young children. This often happens when parents aren't looking and marijuana products have been stored unsafely and left within the reach of a child. Next slide. So the next slide, the data is 43% of youth stated that home is the most common place of use. And the next slide, if we could just go ahead and click into that. 25% of youth ages 12 to 17. The next, 31% of ages 18 to 20. And last, 44% of young adults, Asian young adults age 18 to 20, identified that a friend's home was the last place of use. So that's something to consider. While it might not be happening in your home, they're going to another home to go ahead and smoke or vape. So let's move to the next slide, please. So this is a real quick slide on what is legal in the home. Remember, while it is legal if you are 21 years or older for growing, purchasing, possessing, and consuming approximately an ounce of marijuana and 8 ounces of concentrates in terms of what you can have on you. If you're gonna leave the house with more, you can get in a lot of trouble, so you need to keep that at home. If you look at in the home too, plants must be stored and locked. Growing the plants and the product must be stored and locked and not visible. And you may have at maximum 6 plants per household, not per adult person. It is 6 plants per household. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, some of the forms that you'll see in the home are, let me move this out of the way. There we go. Tinctures, which are bottle droppers or usually with oils that they drop on food or on your tongue. Topicals, which are creams and lotions that have both CBD. Tinctures is usually THC. The edibles are food or drink that contains THC and or CBD. Concentrates are smoke consumed. They're super potent forms of marijuana. You also have the flowers, which are generally smoked. You'll see them in joints, blunts, pipes, bongs, and then you have vapes, which are the vape juice, which usually has concentrates. Next slide. So safety first. This is one of the things we want to reinforce. One, pick a place your children cannot reach. So go ahead and walk around your house, find a storage place that is too high for a child to reach or see. And it's really important that you keep this in mind, because in the if you can go ahead and bring in the next 2 points. Marijuana, one, put marijuana and paraphernalia away. I think there might be a habit of using and forgetting and leaving out both like a pipe or a bong or residual items. And the children can accidentally take it, use it, and ingest it. The other thing about having marijuana out by accident is kids could also share it with friends. There's many stories where kids have taken it to school, edibles, and they've shared it with friends, and kids had to go to the hospital for this. In terms of avoiding use of marijuana in front of children, the influence is really strong by what they see an adult do, they will copy and they will try to use it. There's one other point here is, if you could see this, other than children accidentally sharing, is when there's residual marijuana in the house, it could fall on the floor, it could be left on the table. Kids will ingest it, but also family pets. I don't know if many of you went to the workshop on second and third hand smoke, but this also applies, especially when you saw the percentage of people who smoke in the home. The second and the third hand smoke is just as critical to health as smoking it or using it yourselves. So it's something to keep in mind in the home, that it's not just the smoke itself, but all of the residual impurities that go in the air, and people bring that in. Okay, next slide. So let's look at measuring and monitoring marijuana in the home. The most important thing you want to remember is to label your containers, particularly the ones that are edibles, with an adult only. Make it bold, make it bright. It's a warning for youth, it's a warning for children, but it's also a reminder to you, oh, I've got to put that away. I got to remember this shouldn't be out. Second thing is tracking your amount and types of marijuana. So one of the things similar to alcohol is you could put it in a notebook, you could keep it in a spreadsheet, but if you have a lot of marijuana in the house, it's important for you to count, measure, and document what you have, because it gives you that larger picture of what's in the house, and that way it makes it easier for you to monitor it and notice if something's missing. And the last point on here is to centralize. So before legalization, there was a habit of hiding weed in different spots of the house. So now it's a critical move to try to keep it in one safe area. Next slide. So these are some examples of storage for marijuana. They have containers that both seal and lock. Some are designed, as you could see here, for the refrigerator, for edibles, and they have a tumbler lock on that, so kids can't get at them. They also have some that are translucent, so you can't necessarily see what's in it, but it can't be accessed. With the other items, hold on for a second. Here we go. So with the other items, they're designed again for the purpose of storage and lock. So children, even young children, can easily access marijuana products in their original packaging. So a lockbox provides a safe, convenient, and affordable method for safely storing marijuana products in the home. Some other considerations are to carefully also remove byproducts such as butts, roaches, bong water. Don't leave that out. Throw that away, discard it carefully. Next slide. Okay, so these are some storage options. They're ideal in both ways, locking them up individually and then locking them up in, say, a cabinet, a room, a cupboard. And these can also be used for prescription drugs as well. So the ideal thing when locking it up, especially from tweens and teens, is doubling the safety if you also lock it in a room. Okay, next slide. Okay, we're going to move to prescription drugs. So question on here. When it comes to prescription medications in your home, on a scale of 1 to 5, how easy would it be for a child or youth to access prevention medications in your home or that of a family member? We'll give you about 10 more seconds. Okay, we will close the poll now. Okay, what do we have here? Interesting. It's somewhat easy to somewhat difficult. So it's about half and half, with easy taking a slight lead on this. So that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to go into some points now, and we'll see if some of these methods are ones that you employ. We'll go to the next slide. Okay, how does easy access of parent impact children and youth in the home of prescription drugs and OTCs? So we'll go to that next slide, please. Okay, so we have 64% of 12 to 18-year-olds find it easy to get prescription drugs. And of that, we have 43% under 18 who have attested to misusing prescription drugs. And for the reasons of stress reduction, anxiety, addressing anxiety, to get high and to relax. And that's something we want to think about when it comes to stress and anxiety. What is going on in their life that they need to find relaxation, they need to get high, which is a form and a way of running away by using prescription drugs and OTC. So those are some questions that we want to keep in mind. So let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so according to poison control, the top reason for poison control calls are related to prescription drug and non-prescription drug pain relievers. And then the fourth reason is using sedatives, hypnotics, antipsychotics, and antidepressants. Okay, go ahead. And 93% are calls coming from the home, and 44% are cases related to children 5 years and younger. Next slide.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in right here. This is a great handout to share with parents and family about how young children are affected by medicine that are not properly stored. So this slide right here said that what to know about storing medicine. I'm not sure you can read it, but I'm gonna touch on the one that came alarming. So it takes 1 minute for a parent to turn their back and a child takes it, and then they end up in the emergency room visit for medicine poisoning. Every 9 minutes, a young child under the age of 6 go to the ER because they got into the medicine. Every hour, a child is hospitalized, and every 12 days, a child dies. Now that is what now that I shared that, I kind of want to share my personal stories. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I could relate to this because, like, my child, you know how 2 years old are. They're very curious and they're quick. It's like so hard. So one time I had heard her rattling. It's not the toy that she played, but it's something different. And of course, we know what a medicine rattling sound like. So I found her trying to open the medicine bottles, and luckily it was a child-proof one. So that kind of gave me a wake-up call to kind of be more careful of where I put away my medication. So I want to point this out, that children watch us while we're doing stuff, and they try to copy what we do. So this is really important that I wanted to share this slide with you. Next slide.
Okay, so, and I think you guys know this. This is probably preaching to the choir, but I'm gonna say it again. Keep all medicines out of reach and out of sight. And this also includes OTC, over-the-counter medications, including vitamins, and then things you might not consider, such as diaper rash creams, eye drops, other things like that, because it's harmful if they ingest it. And they want to try everything. Tasting is like touching to them. If it doesn't go in their hand, it goes in their mouth. So we put it out of the way where kids can't reach them. And we consider other places where children will find medication, such as somebody's purse, counters and nightstands where you think, oh, this is where I go in the morning to take it, but I leave it there. So it's important to place bags and briefcases on high shelves, hang them on hooks that are high up out of children's reach. Next slide. Let's take a look at measure and monitor. So let me have you do the thumbs up thing. I want to know how many of you either live in a multi-generational house with elderly people or with someone that takes a lot of medication for their health reasons. Can you go ahead and thumbs up? And unfortunately, I can't see it, so maybe minor. Are there quite a few thumbs up in there? Well, let me move forward then. So when it comes to measuring and monitoring, I bring up the elderly because in these situations, elderly, as you get older, you're using more drugs, more prescription drugs. And it's real important that if they're in your household, for you to know their dosage and their refills. Because if a child happens to get hold of it, it dropped on the floor, rolled away, they find it, they pop it in their mouth. It's important for you to know what's in the household, particularly by prescription, and what your child is reacting to. The other thing is it's important then to have these conversations prior to anything happening, is to explain the role of prescription medication as it is prescribed by a doctor to one person and not to be shared by anyone else. And by their understanding, they'll respect and might say, ah, that's grandma's pills, I found this, and give it to you versus maybe taking it. So the other thing about elderly in the household is they might leave their medications out on the side table or the kitchen table, somewhere where it's easy for them to access it. And there's a tip, and this comes from personal experience in our own family, where we've helped our grandmother when she was alive with her medications, knowing that the grandchildren would come over. So we would use, if you look at the top corner, you could see that multi-boxed medicine case. That helped to break down the medicine that she needed for 2 weeks to a month. And by doing that, she was able to easily track what was in her medicine case, and she would know if something's missing. And by us helping her fill that, we could take away all the excess bottles and lock it up until the next time she needed to refill them. So that's one of the easier ways to track the pills and the prescription bottles, pill packets that are prescribed. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so very similarly to what you saw earlier with marijuana, there's similar casings and boxes, storage lockers and containers that you could use. An easy thing is to add a lock to a cabinet if that's your go-to place. And the most easiest one that I've seen that's helpful is the side table, because oftentimes that's the easiest place when people wake up. Sometimes they wake up and that's the first thing they do. They take their medication. Okay, next slide.
Okay, so I'll take over. Furthermore, here's a safe disposal full campaign hosted by the LA County called the Great Cabinet Clean Out. So where you can participate and win a prize. So while most of you guys are at home, this is a good time to clean out expired unused medication. You bag and box the med, seal it and store it away until it is time for you to safely drop it off. Also, there's places that accept medication disposal, such as Kaiser, Walgreens, and CVS Pharmacy. So you can go ahead and drop it off there. And above all, make sure you put on a mask and observe your proper distancing and just be safe.
And the Safe Disposal campaign, real quickly, is an alternative to the DEA's National Prescription Drug Take Back Day that takes place April and October every year. So we're looking at alternatives here for you to be able to safely dispose your medications without any type of danger to yourself. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we're near to the end of this portion, but what we want to leave with you are some discussion items that you could have with family and friends. One of the most important things is to use facts. Talk about facts with your children when it comes to alcohol, marijuana, and prescription drugs. The scare stories only work so far and to only certain ages. And the earlier they learn about facts, the better they are to make logical choices. The second thing is to set and enforce guidelines and house rules about AOD in the home. This is your home. So it's important for you to determine what you think are fair and safe ground rules, and for you to enforce it with your children so that they get into a habit and a mindset. Third point is have regular talks with your children rather than one big talk. Sometimes there's a habit of waiting until a situation happens. They find something, they find pot in the room, or they discover there was some drinking happening and their alcohol disappeared. Then the big talk happens and they're shouting and yelling and the whole house is in an uproar. So rather than waiting for a situation to take place, it's important to have regular talks ongoing rather than that one big talk, because they do. Your influence is so critical as a parent. You have the most important influence on your child. So when it does happen and they know, and this is not to say that something might not happen anyways, but at least ongoing, you've planted those seeds and you've allowed that to grow in their head. And so they will think twice. They will think twice. Okay, the next point is regarding reminding guests about marijuana and prescription drug safety is for them, if they bring stuff in their purses and their body, meaning jackets and stuff, talk to them, especially if you know their habits, and then also let them know these are our house rules and we don't want the kids to get in it. So let me know if you have it. I need to put your purse and your jacket away so they can't get into it. The other thing is, another point is to ask parents if they have marijuana products in their home. Now this could be a little touchy. You don't want to go into tell somebody how things should be in their home, but it's important if you know that your children go to certain houses regularly, and you don't want to find out after the fact that so-and-so let your child, take a puff of weed or take a drink without you knowing. So it's a good thing to at least make contact with the other parents so that you have a relationship with them and ask them if you're comfortable about asking, but at the minimum, letting them know, hey, this is something that we don't want to see happen. So create that relationship and that conversation. And last but not least is emergencies will happen. Things take place. You can't control everything that goes on. So call 911. I forgot to put this on here. I could share it later, but also call the Poison Help Center. And that number is 800-222-1222.
And we have a question, Jeannie.
Yes.
So we have someone raising their hand on the phone.
Yes.
I'm going to unmute you. So if you have your question.
Hello.
Maybe it was an accident.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, we can open it up for questions. We can go to the next slide and open it up with questions if you have any.
What was the number again? I'm going to type it in the chat.
Oh, so the number for Poison Help Center is 1-800-222-1222.
Got it. All right. Any questions? Thank you, guys. That was brilliant. Questions, go ahead and raise your hand or put it in the chat box and we'll go ahead and unmute you. Anybody?
Notice a comment by Arliss about my neighbors smoke joints and vapes. Maybe Arliss, can you unmute? Do you find that affecting your home?
Yes, absolutely, because the smell does come in through the windows. Even if we have the windows and the doors closed, it gets through those little gaps in the, in the door. So yeah, the smell is pretty strong, whether it's vaping or joints or even tobacco.
So one of the things I just read an article, and maybe one of the other people on the call who know tobacco well, but this applies to both marijuana and tobacco, that if you live in a multi-unit home, the walls are not safe enough. They're not going to prevent it from filtering through. It's going to come through the vents and through under doorways. And so that's some consideration that you have if you live in a multi-unit housing, to go and speak to the manager to talk about how they can enforce rules about no smoking in the building. In a private home, it's a little harder because your neighbors, you'd have to speak to your neighbors. They may or may not. You could ask them, could you do it on another side? I have a child, I have a baby. I could smell it. I don't want my child to breathe it in. So there are some options. I think it's just a little more difficult if it's two separate residential units, standalone buildings. It's a little harder because that is their property. It's something that we might want to think about, though. How do we address that as preventionists? Any other questions or comments?
If anyone have any other question or comment that they don't have in mind right now, you can go ahead and take our info down, and that way you can email us later if you have any, and we will be gladly be able to help you out. But other than that, I know the time is coming close to 3, and it's Friday, and everybody's hot at home. So we want to thank you for your attention and for having us. You know, we really enjoyed doing this for you guys.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap us up. So big thank you to Jeannie and Rith. Amazing job. Definitely learned a lot, makes you think twice. So I appreciate all that info. Again, if you guys have questions, their info will be emailed out with the PowerPoint, but you can also contact Jen. You know, she loves us bugging her. And upcoming, so next week, this one I'm super excited about, acupressure points and meditation for self-care. Jeannie, you're on that, right?
Yes, that's going to be an awesome interactive training, that one. So get into your gym clothes and get ready to
Oh, okay.
stretching. You're going to love that one.
Yeah, my friend just sent me some new Fadletics, so I'm gonna come cute on you guys. Okay. And then needs assessment for program design, speak up part 3, make sure you do your homework, and youth marijuana use trends, prevention and treatment, and LGBTQ trauma-informed care. So I know registration did close for next week already. So if you have any issues, make sure you contact South Bay Prevention. And registration for the following week will be available 4/25. That's tomorrow. So I know we don't be checking our emails. Hopefully you don't on the weekend, but get it in because, you know, they do fill up fast. And that's everything. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Oh, make sure you do the post-test, please. Post-test and evaluation. You know how important it is to get that feedback. That link is in the chat box. So much appreciated, especially if you want your certificate, your CEUs. We want to make sure we get that to you. So post-test and eval, everyone. And happy Friday.
Yes, and lastly, if you registered for the workshop for next week, you will receive all links by Sunday. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that. And you will also receive post-test information with the reminders the day before each workshop. So thanks again. Everyone have an awesome, awesome day and a great weekend.
Jen, are we staying on after?
Yes, please.
Alrighty. Thank you, everyone. Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Don't do anything we wouldn't do.
Measure, store, and lock.
Yes. Go measure, go lock, go store, do all of that.
Look at her. She got that down. We should put a song to that.
Yes. What's our wrap-up song? is all warming up, man. Oof.
I know.
You can see I'm glistening.
I know.
Glistening.
Can't get too close. You can see all the.
Right. You can see the
Melissa,
slit.
thank you so much. I just really appreciate.
Oh yeah, and shout out to Minor. He had to override at some point because I kept getting that message pop up. So that was him that switched.